Let's have a brief meditation. Let's inhale, tense, vibrate the body. Throw the breath out and relax. Again, inhale, tense and vibrate. And throw the breath out. And one last time. And throw the breath out. Let's gaze deeply at the point between the eyebrows. Visualize Yogananda's eyes there, filled with joy, with divine love. And drink of this pure consciousness, filling our hearts, our minds, our souls.
Welcome again, and it is our privilege and great honor to even speak of the Guru in public or any other way. His greatness, his influence, love, and expression of bliss in our lives is really hard to speak about. And so it is a privilege to be able to speak tonight, and I thank you for listening to this Master's Celebration birthday talk. Those chants that Haridas just chanted are Yogananda's chants. Swamiji wrote the second one. And when you think about the celebration of Master's birthday, the celebration isn't like New Year's with everybody blowing horns and shouting and jumping up and down and making a noise. The celebration is an inner celebration. It's the celebration of your union with God, the love growing in your heart, the bliss that comes from practicing these guru-given techniques of meditation and Kriya Yoga that Paramahansa Yogananda brought. I'd like to begin this evening by reading from The New Path. This is a book by Swami Kriyananda. Those of you who are from Ananda have read the book, and if you haven't, I recommend it. Swami Kriyananda was one of Yogananda's chief disciples, and he spent 3.5 years very close to Paramahansa Yogananda. And he wrote this book because he wanted to share the inner experience of what it was like to live with a God-realized master, such as Paramahansa Yogananda. And he wrote hundreds of stories in this book of his time with Paramahansa Yogananda, and they're rich and filled with not only humor and inspiration, but they're filled with a roadmap of what it is to be a disciple, a true disciple, a perfect disciple of a God-realized master. I'd like to begin by reading, first of all, from the chapter, His Last Days. Oh, I will come again and again, crossing a million crags of suffering. With bleeding feet I will come, if need be, 1,000,000,000 times, so long as I know one stray brother is left behind. From God's Boatman, by Paramahansa Yogananda. Raindrops fall to earth, play their countless separate roles, then rise again, to fall in endlessly repeated cycles. Similar is the tale of each soul. Through unnumbered cycles of return, we refine our understanding until we've convinced ourselves to our very depths that the fulfillment we are seeking is ours already in the bliss of our own being. Why should it take so long to make such a simple discovery? Why is it so difficult to realize that earthly pleasures are but reflections of our inner joy? Alas, in a house of mirrors, one is less inclined to introspect. The reflections are simply too fascinating. If one gives thought to himself, it may be only for the sake of changing those reflections. With human life, similarly, the reflections of our inner joy, perceived in outer fulfillments, are simply too tantalizing. Many lifetimes pass, usually, before we realize that our fascination has been with mere reflections, that we have been living in an unreal world. Normally, when a soul achieves final emancipation, ending its long cycle of incarnations, its joy and victory is so overwhelming that it feels no desire to return to this earthly dungeon. Even the spiritual hunger of other seekers cannot suffice to lure it back. For such a soul feels justifiably, surely, that after untold millions of years in bondage, it has earned the right to claim at last its hard-won reward of eternal bliss. Only a few extraordinary souls, having finally earned soul freedom, postpone the perfect enjoyment of it to return to this darkness and lead other struggling souls out of delusion into the light. Of such rare souls, Paramahansa Yogananda is a shining example. Indeed, even among those few, it must be the exception who promises to come back, if need be, 1,000,000,000,000 times. Yogananda's compassion simply staggers the imagination. How many times has he come back already? I killed Yogananda long ago, he said. My own thought is that he has been coming back for many thousands of years. Indeed, I wonder if he and our line of gurus were not, perhaps, designated by God as the saviors of this planet. And indeed, the saviors of our planet, and such a timely return to earth that this has become. They came when the darkness seems to be at its height, and Kali Yuga is holding on with all of its strength to keep us in the delusion that we are separate from God. But Paramahansa Yogananda, in his great compassion, and all of these great gurus from this line have come back to help us to identify with the light within ourselves, to help us to realize that we too are God's, that we are not this darkness, that this darkness can have no hold on us if we love God and we practice these very high teachings from an ancient age. This new age of Dwapara Yuga is the age of light. It's the age of energy. And so the gurus have come back to usher in this new age of energy. And it all began with the compassion of Christ, the great avatar of forgiveness. Remember on the cross, he was in the height of Kali Yuga, so much barbarism and violence. And he's on the cross, and his very last words were, "Forgive them, for they know not what they do." And he knew we didn't know what we were doing because we were immersed in the darkness, and he felt compassion for us. And so he appeared to Babaji in this age. At the beginning of Dwapara Yuga, he appeared to Babaji, and as in the beautiful poetic Festival of Light that Swamiji wrote, he said to Babaji, "The lights on the high altar of my church are growing dim, and though still lit on lower altars of good works, the noble taper of inner communion with the Lord burns low and is ill-attended. Let us together, united in Christ's love, set lights ablaze on that high altar once again." And so a new way of life, a new wave of light was sent to this earth through the great masters of this path. And after Babaji said yes, thank goodness, to Christ in his plea for realization for this new age, then he called to him his disciple, Lahiri Mahashaya. And Lahiri Mahashaya, the great harbinger of yoga, he came to show us that indeed, by practicing these ancient techniques of yoga, by attuning ourselves to the Guru, by living selflessly and serving God joyfully, we too can find our freedom, our samadhi, our oneness with God. And so he lived his life in a humble way, but gave hope, new hope, to all of us that are having to live in this world as householders, with jobs, with responsibilities, with worries, with debt, with children, with all of it, that we think this is all there is. But Lahiri Mahashaya came and said, oh no, this is not all there is. This is a means. This life is a gift, and this means our lives are gifts as a means to finding God. And he gave us the ancient technique of Kriya Yoga that everybody can do, no matter what station in life, no matter what caste, no matter how much money you have or don't have. If we want God enough, and that desire is strong, and there's nothing in our heart except a yearning to be one with God, then he will send the Guru. Then he will send the teaching that will help us to transcend this delusion of separation that we find ourselves in. And so then, Paramahansa Yogananda, he comes on the scene. He's born after Lahiri Mahashaya died. He was born into Calcutta, into the land of saints at that time. It was a very holy spot. He made it much holier when he was born. But he was born there in Calcutta, and this was the spiritual engine. His mother took him to Lahiri Mahashaya and he put him on his lap. I guess he had died at that point. Excuse me for the chronological error, but his mother was a disciple of Lahiri Mahashaya. She took the baby, Paramahansa Yogananda, to Lahiri Mahashaya, and he said, your son will be a spiritual engine. He will bring many souls to God, many souls. And her heart was filled with rest. And she was so happy that she had been the mother, herself a very high soul, of this great avatar that was going to help bring in the new age into this world. And so then Yogananda lived his life in Calcutta, and he went to see many saints, and he yearned for God. All he wanted to do was to be one with God. And that yearning finally led him to his Guru, Sri Yukteswar. And Sri Yukteswar was so thrilled to finally have Yogananda come into his life. They met on a Benares side street, and there was Sri Yukteswar standing like a god, a vibrant, divine being of light. And Yogananda saw him, and then he went to him and touched his feet. He knew that this was his Guru. And Sri Yukteswar said, my own, you have come. What beautiful words. And then he said, I give you my unconditional love. Will you give me yours? The Master said, of course. I give you my unconditional love. And then began many years, 10 years, in the Guru's ashram, where Yogananda lived his life as an example to each one of us as the perfect disciple, as the student of a great avatar, how to become humble, how to practice the techniques, how to love God more and more, how to put God first in our life, how to always put himself last, how to always open the heart. All of these teachings, serving selflessly. In the Autobiography of a Yogi, that chapter, where it's one of my favorite chapters, he says, for 10 years he was in his Guru's ashram. That's a long time. The years in my Guru's ashram, those were important years. Not so much that he had to achieve the experience of being a perfect disciple, but he wanted us to know how to do it. And so he wrote down all of those different experiences in his book, The Autobiography of a Yogi. And then finally, it became time for his mission in America. And he came to America. And he just, 1920, he just stormed the shores of, he came into Boston Harbor, where the revolution was fought for America's freedom from England. And he brought in the revolution of soul's freedom from the delusion of darkness. And he stormed into America, talked to thousands, went to all the major cities. He initiated hundreds and thousands of people into Kriya Yoga. Think of that. Think of what it was like back in the 20s, the 30s, the 40s. They had no idea. It was our guru in an orange robe and a turban, waking people up, helping them to find God, filling that hole in their heart that they yearn for. Like it said in that reading, we don't know where to go. The mirrors are all around us. We think we want this, we think we want that. We're disappointed, we're happy. But no, he said, go within, go within, go within your own soul. Practice these techniques, and I will be your guru, and I will show you how. And once that guru relationship is forged, nothing will ever tear it asunder. We have had our guru with us many, many incarnations. And so on this incarnation, during that time, he was manifest as a living soul for so many years as guidance to these disciples that wanted God more than anything. And he gave them God. He gave them an experience that they could hold on to. And when he came in 1920, 1926, there was another disciple that was born in 1926, Swami Kriyananda. He was a little baby when Yogananda was storming the United States. Kriyananda was a little baby. And then, after 20 years, right when Master said, I'm done storming the United States and giving talks, I'm going to now work with my disciples at the ashram. I'm going to stay home now. I'm going to develop and deepen the work in the disciples. That's when Swami came. That's when Swami came. And he spent 3.5 years with him. Master held him very close because he knew that this soul was going to carry the mission of the Masters out into the world. So when Master left his body 3.5 years later, then he could leave, knowing beyond a doubt that Kriyananda would carry this work forward. And indeed he did. He's done nothing but serve his guru. When he was in the desert with Paramahansa Yogananda, Yogananda was writing the Bhagavad Gita. He had Swami sitting at his feet day in and day out, writing down every single word, filling Swami with the vibration of the Gita, of in a prior incarnation. Think of it. Swami, Yogananda was Arjuna, and Krishna was his guru. So who was Swami? I've always wondered that. Who was Swami in that scenario? But here he is sitting at his guru's feet, Arjuna, writing down every single word. So that later on, when he came to India, many years later, he wrote everything down, the essence of the Bhagavad Gita. This work is his most important work, I feel. because it's truly pure vibration. And the teachings in it are so simple. These erudite Sanskrit translations, I could never get my mind around because I'm a very simple person and I like things just, as you would say, in black and white. When Swami came along and he wrote the essence of the Bhagavad Gita, it was so easy. Love God, basically, is what he said. He just said, love God. And he gave us those ancient, transforming teachings in such a simple way. This book has changed millions of lives already. And Yogananda said that his translation of the Bhagavad Gita would change millions of lives. Already, I think that's come true. But that was Master's outer mission. This is Master's outer mission, to reach lots of people, to give them the techniques of Kriya Yoga, to spread these teachings, take it into Dwapara Yuga. This is our great guru. This is the avatar. This is the avatar of this line of avatars that has come to change and usher in the new age. But what of us as individuals? That's great. Not everybody's going to be teaching and spreading the word and giving people Kriya and doing all these things. What about the individual soul? Master said, I love individual souls. I love crowds of souls. But his real mission was being the guru to the disciple. And that's a very individual, personal relationship. And that's the relationship that Swami showed us how to have with the Guru in his writings, in the New Path, in the example of his life. But for us, the Guru is always there. The Guru has always been there for us, will always be there for us. Never for a moment is he away. We turn our heads away. We turn our lives away. We want to go after this or that. We lose faith. We lose trust in the life of the spiritual world, and we think, oh, well, it's too intangible. I can't follow that. Because we know in our heart it's right, but we hold back because this world is secure for us. We're just habitually bound to the thought of separation. When the Guru comes on the scene, then you begin to see that you are not separate. You are not separate from God. And the Guru comes into you and guides you from within. He guides you, your mind, your thoughts. He works through you. He holds your hand. He's sad with you. He's happy with you. He pulls you away from the things that aren't good for you in terms of finding God. He gives you techniques and people and books and grace to live a spiritual life. He will never leave you. And if you're that stray brother by the wayside, still stuck in the mirrors, going after this and that, he will come back. 1 trillion times, he said. He's not going to go to the astral world and forget us. So we don't even have to worry if we're not like the first one in the race. We can be that trillionth brother and have 100% knowledge and faith that he will come back for us. I wanted to read one more thing from this new path. And Swamiji, he was with Master so close in so many different situations. And this, I think, is one of the most beautiful situations. This is from the chapter, The Ministry. I remember the evening that he recorded some of his chants for public release. Partway through the recording session, I was obliged to leave for a class I was giving in the Hollywood church. On my return, I found Master standing outside on the lawn, listening to one of the chants being played back to him. What lightning flash glimmers in thy face, mother? Seeing thee, I am thrilled through and through. Again and again, he had the recording played over. Presently, he began almost to dance, swaying to and fro ecstatically, his arms stretched sidewise, waving to the rhythm of the music. He was blissfully engrossed in the beauty of Divine Mother, whom he perceived as wondrous light spreading out to infinity, I was deeply moved. Afterwards, as he was taking leave of our little group, he said quietly, I see all of you as images of light. Everything, those trees, bushes, the grass you are standing on, all are made of that light. You have no idea how beautiful everything is. And he came to show us how beautiful everything is, because the Guru sees our true nature, and he sees us as light. He sees us in our state of perfection. He only sees our souls. And anything else that is there, the karma, he takes. Little blemishes on the mirror, he takes. God takes 50%, he takes 25%. Think of it, the blessing of Paramahansa Yogananda as an avatar in our own personal guru. It's quite astonishing when you think of the support and the love and the help that we have in our goal to find God. He will never leave us. We can do anything, say anything, go anywhere. He will never leave us. The Guru is there. He's in our hearts. So we need to begin to see ourselves as that light. We need to not only hold him out there and look at his great mission and wonder how many Kriya bonds we have and how many people are reading the books and all of that. That's all great, but if each one of those souls is not feeling the Guru's presence inside, then the work is for naught. Because God cares about each one of us. It's not the crowds, each one of us. And when each one of us takes that Guru-disciple relationship, holds on to Paramahansa Yogananda's feet through all of it, through the whole life, never looking to the left, never looking to the right, then his job is done. He said, he told his disciples, I will never give up my job about you. Never. Never lose courage. He said, I will never, ever give up my job about you. So our job is to simply relax, simply open up, simply melt into that compassionate love that brought him back. We help his mission by being in tune with him. That's how we help his mission. We help his great work and these masters' great work in the New Age by finding God ourselves. And we have the help now. We have the support. We have the guidance. We have the love. We have everything we need to make that a reality. So we can't get too distressed about our lives. We can't get too bound by what we think is unspiritual and we're stuck and I can't do this and I can't do that. What can we do? What can we do on a daily basis, on a minute-to-minute basis? We can love the Guru. Now, isn't that a simple teaching? We can love the Guru. And we can love the Guru in everything we do. In our sadhana, say a prayer to the Guru. Bring him into your meditation. Ask him to practice through you. Ask him to do Kriya through you. Ask him to sit with you after you're done, to feel that light, that love, that consciousness right there. Tell him, don't go yet, I don't feel it yet. Come back, and keep your consciousness here with the Guru. Don't let go of his hand. Don't let go of his feet. Don't let him go, because that's his job. You can remind him of that. I don't feel anything, Master. I'm not going, so don't you go. Hold on to that thought, and he'll be there. He will be there, because he is there. And in your daily life, many times we have thoughts. I remember when I came to Ananda, in the beginning I was absolutely involved in the work. Right away, just immersed and jumped in. Then, and I loved it. I loved every minute of it. I was so happy. I finally found my spiritual path. I found my Guru. Found my Guru Bhais. I was so happy. Then we had a child, and I had a newborn baby. And all of a sudden I was alone. And in my room, where everybody else was involved and doing their thing, I was with my newborn baby, crying. And I had these thoughts, okay, now what do I do? Because I didn't feel the Guru's presence then. I didn't. I was too concerned about what it looked like on the outside. My idea of what it meant to have the Guru. My idea of being free to do what I wanted, whenever I wanted, however I wanted. But oh, did I learn a lesson. Because I was alone, and I would cry. I would cry. They're all with Swami in the temple, and I'm here with my crying baby. And I would be crying as much as she was. But then I realized, slowly, this is silly. I'm not going to wait till she's 18 to find God and develop my relationship on a deeper level with the Guru. I'm going to do it right now. So I started bringing him into my daily life every minute. She's crying. Okay, Master, she's crying. I stopped crying. Okay, let's go do this alone. Let's go clean the house. Let's do this. Let's call a friend. Let's write a letter. Let's be with the Guru. Everything I did, I held onto his hand. It's the only thing I could do. I had no other techniques. I held onto his hand. Very, very slowly, I began to realize he's not out there. He's in here. But I needed that experience because I was judging my spiritual life by what it looked like on the outside. Nothing on the outside is real. Nothing. The only thing that's real is the relationship that you have with the Guru inside. And when I started feeling that, I never lost it. From that moment on, it was a wonderful test for me. Because the outer world is all going, but I have the Guru in my heart. No matter what has come through the years, many things have come. That's life. But I held onto his hand, I held onto his feet. And so for each one of us, we have those experiences where we feel alone. We feel just like we're not involved enough to really cut it spiritually. We have those moments. But you know what? Who cares? That's just a test. Everything flows like a river. Life flows like a river. It goes by. Now my daughter's 27 and she's gone, but I still have a Guru. I didn't give him up and get caught. That's what we have to remember. Right where we are, where God has placed us, He knows we're there. It's our karma. We have to go through it. We can't avoid our karma. But the Guru can help us through it, and then he takes the karma. And you begin to feel lighter inside. When you give everything over to him, everything. And you start living from the inside out. Don't be caught by those mirrors anymore. The Guru is your own personal ticket to God. And he wants you to turn to him. He's waiting. So don't give up. And be so grateful that Paramahansa Yogananda came into our lives. It's just amazing. Even if you've just read the autobiography of the yogi and you're not a disciple, formal disciple, that book will change your life. He said it has his vibrations in it. Imagine that. When you read that book, you're getting Master Paramahansa Yogananda's vibrations, filling your consciousness, opening your heart. To your very atoms, that vibration is coming through that book. Read it again this year in 2017. 2017? I always forget what year it is. Read it again. Haridas mentioned in the last Sunday satsang that, that might be a good idea. I started reading it again. It's like the first time I've read it. Because there's so much fresh energy and so many new things that I have to learn. Because I'm not the same person that I was 5 minutes ago. We change over the years, but God never changes. All of our life situations go through transformation. God never goes through transformation. He's right there. And so, when you read that book once a year, all the way through, fresh, new inspirations pour from it. Just what you need to hear. That's the Guru speaking through those words on those pages. So that's one thing you could do too. The main thing is just to love the Guru. Just simple love. That's all. Open your heart. Be happy. And don't worry so much. He said, go on a worry fast. We worry. It all gets worked out in the end. But with the Guru, it gets worked out permanently. And that karma is gone forever. And you are free in God at the end of your life. Just like Sister Gyatamata, who was his highest woman disciple, her last words were, joy, joy, too much joy. Because she had lived her life every moment with the Guru. I'd like to close now with reading from Whispers from Eternity. And this is a poem by Yogananda. And this is for all of us. He wrote this to his Guru, but this is to him from us. To all of our Gurus, this applies. Whoever your Guru is. Thou light of my life, thou camest to spread wisdom's glow over the path of my soul. Centuries of darkness dissolved before the shafts of thy luminous help. As a naughty baby, I cried for my mother divine, and she came to me as my Guru, Swami Sri Yukteswar. At that meeting, O my Guru, a spark flew from thee, and the faggots of my God craving, gathered through incarnation, smoldered and blazed into bliss. All my questions have been answered with thy flaming golden touch. Eternal, ever-present satisfaction has come to me through thy glory. My Guru, thou voice of God, I found thee in response to my soul cries. Slumbers of sorrow are gone, and I am awake in bliss. If all the gods are displeased, yet thou art pleased, I am safe in the fortress of thy pleasure. And if all the gods protect me behind the parapets of their blessings, yet I receive not thy benedictions, I am an orphan, left to pine spiritually in the ruins of thy displeasure. O Guru, thou dost bring me out of the bottomless pit of darkness into the paradise of peace. Our souls met after years of waiting. They trembled with an omnipresent thrill. We met here because we had met before. Together we will fly to his shores, where we will smash our planes of finitude forever and vanish into infinite life. I bow to thee as the spoken voice of silent God. I bow as the divine door, to thee as the divine door, which leads to the temple of salvation. I bow to thee, to thy master, the Lahiri Mahashaya, harbinger of yoga in Benares, and I lay the flowers of my devotion at the feet of Babaji, our Supreme Master. Thus is the blessing of the Guru. And may this Master's celebration tomorrow and Sunday, and this whole week of his birth, think not in terms only of his birth in this world, but think in terms of his birth in your heart. Think of his birth in your consciousness. Think of his birth in your soul. And hold fast to the thought, you are one with him, and he will take you to the shores of infinite freedom, your goal, and we will all rest in God together in this lifetime.